Hey guys, so next video in the series, and this one I'm going to talk about being prepared for when you actually get to your hotel, things that you should have done before you came, or tips to just make things easier for when you actually arrive. The first one is a very simple one. You need to change a little bit of Thai money while you're in England. Don't do a lot because you just won't get a good exchange rate here. You never do. You always get a really, really good exchange rate in Thailand. So take as much cash as you can. But generally speaking, I feel like if you change up about £30 into Thai money, that will be more than enough for the first night, for everything that you need, including taxis if you get caught up with that, or just any general stuff, just like coconut water and some snacks for the hotel room. So yeah, £30 is more than enough, and that's probably all you'll ever need to change in this country. The rest you can do there for really, really good exchange rates. So that's one thing. Another thing that I feel that people need is apps. There's 4 apps that I generally use all the time. I can show you them if you can see those. And that is Google Translate, which kind of speaks for itself. But where this kind of really benefits you is when you're trying to buy something from a food stall that's quite busy, or just anybody who's kind of looks a bit rushed, instead of trying to translate with your hands and explaining whatever, just type in what you want and show it to them. They can read it in Thai. It just saves them time. They'll really appreciate you. Like it's just being smart and helping people to get along. Remember, this is their business and you're a tourist, and your one portion of food is nothing to their day. And so try and make it as quick and easy as possible if they're really busy. If they're not busy, they will stand and chat with you, smile, laugh. But common sense, if you don't have time or they're busy and rushing around, just show them what you want. They'll do it. It's done. And yeah, there are other uses obviously, but you know how a translator works. So I had also added Revolut onto this simply because Revolut has a Thai wallet, which means that you can transfer money from your Revolut account into the Thai wallet at exchange rate, online exchange rate. It means that you've always got a little bit of money on the card that you won't get any bank charges for. It does save you money. I don't really use card very often. I like to pay in cash, but occasionally you'll go to a slightly more fancy restaurant and they would like you to pay card, or they would prefer it to be like that. Cash can be a pain even in every other country. If everything's on a POS system, then cash can kind of mess things up. So it's always handy just to have that a little bit in backup. And as I say, it's in Thai money, so you don't get charged anything for doing it. If you're going to be shopping in malls and stuff, it's convenient for you as well, instead of trying to count out notes that you don't know. So that just kind of helps a little bit as well. Grab, which I've told you about so many times, Grab taxi is probably one of the cheapest ways to get around. There's a lot of issues with traffic in Bangkok particularly, and when you're on the islands there's a bit of a taxi mafia, so Grab is not really that popular, and it can be a little bit dangerous sometimes because the normal taxis will surround a Grab driver picking you up, and it can get a bit crazy. So in Bangkok, yes, in most, in fact, major cities in Asia, Grab's fine, but just when you're in small islands, sometimes drivers don't want to be what they consider shortchanged, even though it's a fair price, but because they can get tourist money, they don't want to lose that kind of monopoly. So yeah, just be careful with that on the islands. But yeah, it's super, super useful in Bangkok. Very cheap. You doubt you'll ever pay more than £3.75 for a taxi. You'd have to be going a very, very long distance to pay more than that. The other great thing about Grab is you don't have to put any bank card details into it. You can just use it, and then at the end you can pay in cash. And I found that to be so helpful because it just, again, it's bank charges and all sorts of stuff. Even if you're using Revolut, you just want to just do it easily. And so cash, done, and you're out of there. And there's no credit card worry about a random taxi driver, So, you can pay cash with Grab. The other thing with Grab is that you can get food from Grab, but this does entail having a card linked to the account. Obviously, it's costing them money to prepare food and whatever to send out. It's not like a taxi, but they are kind of legitimate businesses. So it sort of swings and roundabouts with that one. You can turn the card off and on. So if you're going to use a taxi, then you turn the card off, and if you're going to use the food, then you can turn the card on. But it's not the only option. There are other food delivery places, which will lead me into the next app, which is Line. Now, Line is the most important of them all. This is serious communication. So with Line, a lot of restaurants run their businesses on this. A lot of places you can message and get through to, asking if they're open, stuff like that. And the thing with Line is that when you type into Line, whoever's receiving that message will receive the message in their own language. So even if you're typing in English and it's going to a Thai place, they will receive the message in Thai. And when they reply to you, they'll type in Thai and you'll receive the message in English. So it's kind of like a Google Translate, except it's a messaging service. So where I said about using Translate on stalls, it's because the owner probably doesn't have time to pick up their phone and run it through Line. It's just a lot quicker to show. But this really, really helpful. And it's good if you're, get chatting to somebody. You can just add their line. There's a button you press which has a QR code, and this is very common. If you're talking to somebody and struggling with a little bit of translation, people don't mind to add you to their line. And the reason for this is because it's not like WhatsApp. In fact, it's far better than WhatsApp, but it's also more popular in Thailand. Everyone does have WhatsApp also, but they will use Line. And so when you add somebody to your line, it doesn't take any information. There's no phone number connected. You can't see any of the stuff that they've posted. It's one of those things where you just get a chat box and that's it. So you'll see the person's name, you'll see their profile picture, but that's all you get. So if you don't trust who you're talking to, maybe you don't know don't know anything about them. They seem nice, but hey, they don't have your number, so you won't get spam texts and rubbish like that. Like, it's just a chat box, and you can just block them if they start to send you spam. This is really helpful. So if you're like younger and you're like out, you want to meet people and hang out and do whatever it is you want to do. If you're in like one of the nightclubs where it's loud and like it's almost impossible to talk somebody, but you kind of like them or whatever, then you can kind of go over to them and show them your QR code, and if they like you, they'll add you. And so it's quite easy to begin a conversation with somebody. Again, it's all translated, and it doesn't have to interrupt your night. You can be out with your friends and you can just see somebody, and you kind of offer the QR code. If they say no, okay, they're not interested, move on. If they tap it and say yes, then like you don't literally have to do anything that night. You can message them the next day, say, hey, like I met you at the club, it was too loud to talk, whatever. And people are really receptive to this because, as I say, it's very secure. And yeah, it's just a really kind of good way. It's kind of culturally accepted. Like people don't think, oh, who's this nutter asking for my line? Like it's just something that people do. It helps with translation. It's kind of fun, really. I wish I was young again and still like out trying to chat to people like that, because that just seems to make things so much easier. Like, because you can have a conversation and, you'll find out a little bit before you've kind of done that whole awkward kind of thing, So, yeah, it's fun. So, yeah, that's the apps. The other couple of things that I was going to talk about is just getting around again. Like, we know about Grab Taxi now. You've got the app. You can look through that. You do get discounts with it as well. But they also have BTS systems, railway systems, MRT. And for that, you can get one of these, which is basically the same as an Oyster. It's called a Rabbit card. If you go to any BTS station, take your passport, you can register one, and then you can just top up. Now, you don't save any money by doing this, but what you do save is a hell of a lot of time. I'll show you the other one as well. This is the MRT version. They both work in exactly the same way. They just happen to be different railway systems. One's north to south, the other one's west to east. And so like both of these, take a passport into one of their stations, register. You pay a small deposit and then you just top up the card and you can just travel around. And as I say, it doesn't save money, but what this does is save you so much time. Honestly, there are absolute nightmare scenarios, especially as a tourist, where buying a ticket in a train station is an everlasting experience. You can be there for half an hour queuing for a 17 baht ticket. You know, sometimes at rush hours, especially in Central, you can be standing in that queue forever. If you have one of these, you skip all the machines and you go straight up to the same as we have in London. You know, you just tap your card and you go through. And I swear to God, like, this is one of the biggest time-saving things in the whole of Bangkok. Even though you might not be staying there for that long, that it's important. In fact, if you are there for a shorter time, saving time in that queuing systems is actually worth the extra money. Personally, I would say I would rather pay that little bit extra just for the deposit and whatever, just to save me having to stand in those queues. Because, you know, who wants that? You know, like, especially when you're on holiday, you're kind of in a rush to get to places, and like that kind of breaks your spirit a little bit, getting stuck in a queue, and everyone else in front of you is a tourist. No one knows what they're doing. They're trying to change money. They don't know how to work the machine. You know, it's so long. So just get the card and then just breeze through, and you'll just love it. You'll be leaving people behind. They'll be standing there going, "Oh, how does he know?" You know, just get it. It makes life so much simpler. Also, they don't ever expire. So when you come back next year, which you will do, because as soon as you go to Thailand, you go back again. It's just one of those things, and that will last. You'll still be able to top it up. I always leave a little bit on there before I leave, just so that when I do come back, when I get to Makasan from the train station, I can just jump on the tube, on the MRT, and just go to whichever area my apartment is. And yeah, it just makes life so much easier. And yeah, I'm going to just briefly touch on 7-Eleven, because obviously 7-Eleven, everybody loves 7-Eleven. Go there and grab, I love the coconut water. It's so cheap compared to the price here. And I hear that it's way better for hydration, which, you know, is something that you have to deal with. Like, I don't drink water, and people know I don't drink water, and they ask me how I survive just in London, let alone in Bangkok, and that's how I do it in Bangkok. I drink coconut water. It's delicious, and you should always have at least 2 or 3. You don't realise just how hot and how dehydrated you get. So just kind of have a few bottles of that laying around. Grab some snacks. They change their crisps selection every month. There's always new flavours. You know, you see it all over Instagram. Hey, new flavour. Be part of it. It's fun. The crisps are delicious. Like, they're just really, really good flavours. Lobster hot pot crisps is just like, yeah, come on, like, you know. So yeah, be aware of those. And you can also get like all your little travel size deodorants and, you know, mini shaving foams stuff, and they're actually at cheaper prices than the full size one. Not like here where you pay the same, because they know they're kind of getting you on the travelling kit, you know. So yeah, razors over there are better as well. If you use razors, if you don't have electric, if you just use a simple razor, they're way better. I don't know whether this is they're sharper, they cut closer. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But I've always found that those razors are far better than the ones I use here. So yeah, little bits and pieces like that. Ignore the toasted sandwiches unless you're really craving a toasted cheese sandwich and you're like drunk and it's like, you know, the last day of your holiday. Just ignore it. All that fuss about it, it's just people jumping on a bandwagon that we started about 10 years ago as a joke, and you know, it's just kind of swelled out and like for no reason, because they are rubbish, they're cooked badly, they don't really melt properly. Like, it's, you know, it's one of those things. Like, you know, locals might eat one every now and again because they're just tired of having like spicy Thai food. They just want something plain, but you know, it's trash. You can get far better sandwiches in any of the bakeries or, you know, whatever. So yeah, pretty much that's it. I'm trying to keep this short. So what I am trying to do, which I would love people to help me with, is share some of these broadcasts. I really want to get to 1,000 followers so that I can do live stuff. I don't know if you've noticed, but like, this camera is different. I'm using the Osmo Pocket 3 now, and what I want to do is be able to go into like all the night markets and you know, everything, and just record live stuff so that you can watch this on YouTube, because obviously time difference. So like, you can be sitting there at Saturday lunchtime, and I'll actually be out in the Saturday night market, and I'll be able to, you know, record everything and show you exactly what it's like, answer questions, you know, just have fun. You know, it could be really cool, but I need to get 1,000 subscribers to be able to do that. So yeah, if you can like, subscribe, do something to help with that, it would be very much appreciated. I will kind of run a competition or something when I hit 1,000 for like a really big prize. And so yeah, like, let's see what we can do if we can make this better. Okay, so that's it. Next time I will do the scams. I did promise the scams this time, but obviously, info more important like this, I guess. And then once you're settled, then you're going to go out into Bangkok, and then I can tell you what scams to avoid. So yeah, have a great day, guys. It's beautiful here. I will see you on the next one.